As a performer, your body is there.
Hi, I'm Mad Kate, and you're listening to Sweat, Sexuality, Work, Extraction, Art, Theatrics. Sweat is a series of conversations about performance and performativity of the sexual and sexualized body at work, where work is broadly defined as the labor of survival, the labor of care, creativity, and capital A art. How exactly do we define our work? And how does that work entangle and circumscribe our sexual identities, our creative lives, and the way in which we provide care? How do we perform tasks, acts of care, and identities? Anchored in our always already racialized and sexualized bodies, our complex intersectionalities, these conversations are a means of relating through work to each other. I hope they contribute to dialogues which normalize sex work as work and all work as deserving of respect, healthy conditions, and a living wage. This month's conversation is a unique format I'm calling Spat Back At Ya. This time, I'm the one being interviewed, and I have none other than Berlin drag legend, punk star, promoter, host, performer, and visionary, Bleach, spitting the questions back at me for the late-night Berlin zine SPAT Mag. A few years back on this podcast, at the end of the first season in December 2022, I did a positionality episode where it was just me talking about me. Part of the reason I did that was to bring myself more into the picture of the interview. The idea is that instead of being the invisible voice of the interviewer, or even the slightly less visible one, I expose a bit about what I am, who I am, where I come from, my intersections, my positioning, and I give myself the chance to check in about why I still do the show, where my thinking is at, and to re-articulate some of what is fascinating to me about the performance of work. What you hear in any interview is always a reflection of context, political history, space, conditions of recording, and what the two individuals bring to the table. And more often than not, the context is not even directly spoken about, and yet it lives through every conversation. And this context is, we are two artists living and working in Berlin, a city in which police beat comrades on the street for protesting against the genocide in Gaza, which is beyond devastating and calls us to mourn and grieve lives every single day as we watch with two eyes what the world has the power to stop and has not. Berlin, a city which has massively cut its funding for social and cultural projects in a time in which many of our friends and dear ones are battling depression, addiction, chronic illness, and we have lost too many of our community. Corporations are becoming more and more powerful, while the tiny elite gets astronomically more wealthy, and the weapons trade, in close connection with security state, artificial intelligence, and surveillance mechanisms, holds the world in its grip. We are with two clip microphones in the back of Exit, and we are finding a bit of joy and laughter together. Sitting across from me is my very good friend and inspiration, Bleach, who just launched a new Berlin-based zine called SPAT Mag, which you can pick up with two hands, smell its pages, and read. Bleach is working to reignite the romance of offline culture and grassroots community building. She came by to interview me for the second issue of SPAT Mag and to promote my new album with Mad Kate the Tide, Stage and Bedroom. We talked so much about sex, work, extraction, art, and the theatricality of performing that I thought this had to be the second positionality episode of Sweat.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah? You hear me?
I mean, it's making little lines, so I think it's working.
Looking good.
Yay! Welcome to the first ever SPAT Mag interview of cover star Mad Kate of October 2025. I mean, we chat all the time, so I'm going to try choreograph this in some direction. Yeah. I read your biographies on the internet last night. I haven't written any notes, so we'll see see what absorbed and come out. But before that, we have a Fagony Aunts section in SPAT.
Yes.
Do you have a question for them?
Ooh.
It can be sexy, it can be late night, it can be anything. Is there any advice you need?
Oh my God, so much advice. It's not very sexy though, I think.
It doesn't have to be sexy. I think we should throw them a curveball.
I mean...
The format is they're from New York, London, and Berlin. Mm-hmm. And their idea is that they'll answer a Berlin question from a New Yorker, a London question to a Berliner.
I think one thing I think a lot about is when you're in poly relationships and you're like, the sex part is kind of the least complicated thing in the way that you relate to people. Now, you've done all that thing where you separate maybe the sex from the romance. Like, yeah, sometimes it's tied, but not always. That's not necessarily the thing that's like tying you to people. Like, it's okay, you know, you have different kinds of poly relationships with people. Like, obviously we know we can love many different people at the same time. We know we can fuck many different people at the same time. What about when you're really in love and the sex is really fused with the romance and really balance that time-wise with other people? That's one thing, which is, I think it's not just like new relationship energy. It's like a deep embedded in love and their sex. How do you do that across multiple relationships with a time thing and really provide care to people that they deserve and that also you expect? That's one part. Then the other part is it's almost the same thing. It's like, how do you actually break up? You know, when we actually do have, not all of us, but, you know, in my experience, I've had multiple relationships with people that the relationship continues after the sex, or the relationship continues even sexually, but after the romance, or after some aspect that we've taken out of our relationship anarchy smorgasbord. Have you heard of the relationship anarchy smorgasbord? So the relationship anarchy smorgasbord is like you sit down with presumably like romantic partners, but it could be sexual partners, it could be friends, it could be any kind of partner, and you're like, these are some of the things we do, or like we want to do. We hold hands, we go to, you know, you're gonna meet my family, or we're gonna raise kids together, or we go on cute dates, or we just fuck, or, you know, whatever, or like I can come to you in the middle of the night crying, and like you kind of set what are the things within our relationship, including end of life plans. Like, it could be also, you're in my will. I want you at my deathbed, or when I'm really sick, I want you to care for me. Anyway, like, so let's say we have these different relationships, and we have some things that are in and some things that are out. What does breakup mean? Like, how do we mourn transition? How do we also like have visibility in the transition from one form of a relationship to another, since it's not like, yeah, we broke up, they broke my heart, fuck them, I never want to speak to them again, which can also still happen, but yeah. So that was like
I love it. I love the breakup question. I think it's really interesting. On the first question, did you find a time to relationship to bodies limit?
I've been doing this for 26 years. I came out as poly when I was 20. And I did the like really classic thing. I had a boyfriend. I was like, I want to have an open relationship. I'm definitely bisexual. And that's one thing that I cannot see the rest of my life not experimenting, at least with other women. I think was also really driven by my queerness, but also just like, politically, I just couldn't really see myself as being monogamous. And I was like, let's open up. And then our relationship quickly fell apart. So I've been practicing, you know, honesty, jealousy, communication, just what it means to share space, an intimate space, and like also what it means to do sex work or porn, and like how that's maybe or maybe not different, or in the field of polyamory, or like within the bounds of polyamory. I think some people who practice polyamory are like, oh, if you do porn, I don't give a shit. Like, who cares? That's not an emotional connection. Anyway, sorry, I'm going tangential, but like I've been doing this for a long fucking time, right? And yet, I still feel like I kind of have hierarchies, which is also okay. I think it's like, yeah, it's a hierarchy. Or like I have people where I put more of my emotional energy. And I think I found it really hard to be in that I am so deeply in love, like love blind, and we're fucking with more than one person at a time. That kind of depth and it's not just new relationship, because it doesn't necessarily just last for a certain amount of time, then it's over. It's like, it can really last for quite a long time, where I find it actually difficult to really fall in love again. I don't know. I mean, I definitely haven't with 3. I would say maybe kind of with 2, but I feel like there was big differences. There's a time thing. I still one person that I'm spending more time with. It's challenging.
Yeah, it's not a regimented to this day and this day I'll fall in love with this person.
No.
And block it out in a calendar and make sense of it. Like,
No.
the time thing is crazy.
It's so
hard. And how your brain goes on to thoughts.
It's so hard. And also, because sex is really important to me. I feel like it's part of my mental health. It's something that I really want regularly in my life. So I do find that I will prioritize it or having it, getting it, especially if it's a romantic person that I also feel really good being around. So, I somehow wish that I were above that, but I wish that sometimes it didn't play such a big factor, but I feel like, for example, I'm really, really, I don't know if this should be in, I'm not sure, but I'm really still very much in love with Juan and Anita. I am deeply in love with her, but not having sex be part of the equation, allows me to really fall in love with other people in a different way. I'm in love with my child in a way too. Like, I really give her a lot of time and energy, but obviously, and I guess this is very taboo to talk about, like, obviously there's no sexual relationship there, and that's, again, it changes the quality of, like, what you give to it and, like, how needy that relationship can be.
How do you find the balance to love your creative self and yourself? Do you get to, because you just talked about lots of different relationships there, but can you get to do it on yourself?
Well, I mean, some people have called me a workaholic, or like implied as much, because I think I do a lot of art projects. And I think that's because, in part, I've always wanted to get paid to do what I love. I really hate the term workaholic in a way, because I feel like work is so much outside of the capitalist system when we really think about all the work that we do. So, like, capitalist work and having greed around having more and more money is one thing. But, like, the fact that we're living so precariously and we actually have to work for money in order to survive, at least most of us do, I feel like I have to challenge that a little bit, because, like, work is very different from alcohol in that sense. It's like, it's not just, like, I don't need to drink. I gave up drinking. Like, I don't need to drink to be able to put food on my table. But unfortunately, I do need to work in the capitalist economy to put food on my table. But one thing I always wanted was to work for money as little as possible, because most of the work that I love to do is underpaid or not paid. It's care work. It's work for projects that's not going to be viable for money. And so, in that sense, I do end up doing a lot of it because I'm also working for money. And also, there's just so many things I actually love to do. Like, I do love to be in the work of relationships, but I also love to write, and I feel urgency about writing. And I think most of my art forms come out of that, actually, when it really comes down to it. I think I feel urgency around writing. That's something, like, I'm compelled to do every day. And then it's like, oh, is this writing going to be a punk rock song, or is this writing going to be actually a dance, because no one gives a shit about the words that I'm saying, and I have to perform it at 2 a.m, and who's going to listen? But maybe it can come out in an abstract format, or maybe it's about a costume, actually, Do
you have a regular writing practice, like, in the morning or any time?
I'm not that disciplined.
I started doing morning pages. It's great.
It's so good.
Have you ever tried?
I have. So I have a really hard time with routine. I can be pretty flexible, which is my strong suit. I have a really hard time with routine. So what I had to do is I had to make a checklist of every single thing that I wanted to try to do in a day, and then at least do it once. That part I still struggle with, and I'm talking, like, basics. Like, I'm talking, like, brush your teeth, eat, get in the shower, stretch, write. So that's on there. But to have it, like, regimented, like...
You don't come across like that.
I am.
I see you cycling to the yoga class, over to the pole class.
I literally have a very hard time doing the same things every day. So, like, just the checklist is, like, a huge step forward. The timing, like, that'll happen between 5 and 8. No, I cannot. Maybe one day.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading through your website, which is beautifully written, and then it
thanks.
came to the end, and it was like, I write, and then all of a sudden I was like, why are we doing an interview? I should ask them to write something. And I was like, no, it's good to talk as well.
Yeah.
So the magazine's supposed to be about late night and what inspires late night culture. And obviously late night culture can inhabit lots of things. I'm intrigued by its political sense because it normally falls into the untaxable, sometimes illegal, and how that influences late night culture and this sort of like crossover thing. Do you like the late night? Are you a late night?
It definitely relates to aging and to parenting. So when I moved to Berlin, like I was like, wow, I was working shifts from midnight till 6 a.m. regularly, and I thrive. Also, I love to write at 1 or 2 in the morning if I'm up. And I love how Berlin is a different animal at night. You don't even realize, when you have a daytime life, you don't realize that there's this whole other thing happening. And I only realized that because I had to become a daytime person, which was tragic in some ways. I had, when I became a parent, I had to start aligning to institutions. Like I had to take my kid to school at 8 a.m. like I did this morning. They had to get there then. And I find that really hard because of like my routine thing. I find it really hard to actually be part of an institution that has expectations like that. So that said, I'm definitely a night owl. I've had to make a switch and it's been challenging. It continues to be challenging because I still love to work late nights. And so now it's more like doing both sometimes, like having to wake up early and stay up late.
Does it work? Or does one falter on the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the whole,
there's not a hopeful... It can be done!
I think, unfortunately, the only way I think you can do it if you're still in your 20s, but in your 40s... in my experience, I had to be sober. Like, I can't do the nightlife, get totally wasted, have a day where I'm recovering, or 2 days. Like, that doesn't work.
No.
But if I'm sober, I can sometimes, pull, like, all the weird night hours and whatnot. But that's like, that's one side of it. I think that Berlin, the things and the people that exist in the night... I want to get beyond the obvious, which is like that there's whole subcultures that are there. There's a kind of freedom. We know this. Like, there's a sexual freedom, theoretically. I think this dialogue is changing a lot. Sorry, I have to tease this out as I'm speaking a bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think there is... So, like, we don't have, generally speaking, in our milieu, not many of us are going to church regularly or some other kind of religious services on the weekly. But I think there's still really a deep need for ritual and for gathering and for coming together. And I do think that some of us have intentionally or unintentionally created those spaces on dance floors and in clubs together. And I think it's really gorgeous when we do it, also when we do it intentionally, like I've seen at Lunchbox Candy, for one example, and some other parties, where you even have let's open the night, let's talk about how we're feeling, let's talk about everything that's already in the room. Or what I saw led also at one of the, I think it was also at a Lunchbox Candy, a sober version, where someone actually led us all through a full trance ritual. And so it was like taking what's already on the dance floor and then naming it and really putting words to it and like kind of leading us through something was just, I just find that such a stunning idea. I love it.
And it's definitely on the rise. Sweat do a intention rave circle at the beginning, and I saw at Fluidity once. I was at a party and they did a closing stretch, and then they came out with like fruit and croissants at the end, and they played like more ambient to sort of bring you down, like on the other side of it.
Yes.
Which was beautiful.
Oh, cool.
It's nice that people are acknowledging it and going there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I feel like there was the absence of that being so intentional for many years. And I think as certain kinds of drugs also entered the scene, or I don't know if it's just kinds of drugs or more drugs entered the scene, I think it deepened sometimes a sense you're on the dance floor, but you're part of your own trip and you're not necessarily on the trip of those around you. And I think that, yes, ritual can form there, but also some real like friction can be present there too, or things that are unacknowledged. And not only to mention that I think for some people it can become a really unhealthy habit that has real physical effects.
Yeah.
And like we feel in those moments this one, like on the one hand we feel a lot of togetherness, I think, when we're high, and also when we're coming down from our highs. I've also felt a lot of togetherness in those moments. But then there's like the after space, like there's the everywhere else spaces. Are we able to actually build that community that comes in between those times? And I feel like now there's a real desire to either create more sober spaces that have the absence of that, or at least to be more intentional about drug use or talking about it, or at least, okay, like let's harness it and create something that still has togetherness, even if we're on, we are on different journeys. And I think that's very good. I still feel like there's more conversations that probably need to happen, because I think there's other aspects of drug taking in clubs, which is like, there's a labor aspect. There's like the fact that a lot of the drug trade and consumption, like we can't really separate it from border criminalization of migrants and of labor that's outside of the capitalist economy. And I feel like it's kind of a blind spot that a lot of, like myself included, many people, like it's hard to really talk about, because we don't want to go, okay, therefore just like out. But it is something to
when
discuss.
You brought that up, put the labor, I thought to the awareness teams that are predominantly femme, like young flinter queers going around putting in the labor to care for a party night.
True. That's true.
I know a lot of people have been traumatized at like queer festivals taking care of drug-addled party people.
True. This is that gets on to the other part of this, which is of course also like the sexual freedom. I don't think it's ever not been out in the open, but a lot of people have also had terrible sexual experiences in clubs, been sexually harassed, or had really unwanted sexual advances. And I think people have been working on that for a long time as well, but it's still this, it's there's still so much more to be done. And I think actually the conversation is opening more and more. And now I'm hearing it also coming more from how much responsibility do club spaces themselves have for not just having awareness teams, but like how much liability are they for what does happen. I think it's an important conversation to have. It's a complicated conversation to have, because I think also there's some pushback because people are afraid, and rightly so, of like policing of spaces, of policing of sexual freedom. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, it's great. In my head, I just think it's great. You always are committed to understanding labor and work within everything, I guess, from the beginning of the conversation, but more directly entwined with sexuality. As you have a podcast talking on those exact topics, Sweat.
Yeah.
How did you start to understand the labor of sexuality? Like, when did this conversation start in your head? You put it in. It's a capitalistic critique that you sort of have ongoing, but you direct it specifically to sexuality often. How did this come about? You're a sex worker. You're a porn performer. When did you intertwine capitalism and sex labor? Like, when did it all make sense? You were like, okay, we need a revolution.
Yeah.
Or what's your angle on it?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think one thing to say is I come from a place where I feel like I had choice to explore. So I would say that right away. Like when we're talking about jobs and what we want to do, I think I made a choice and I've been able to make choices. And this is the thing with jobs, right? Like, when we talk about like what we decide to do, what's our agency, I think we have how do I put this? Like, we have opinions about how much choice does someone have to do something or not. And we might have an opinion about, well, they had no other choice but to do X, Y, Z. But there's things involved in that, right? Like in our own choice, because it also has to do with, well, how much risk are we willing to take on, or how much are we willing to live without? And I think a lot of artists who want to live as artists, they're making a choice to live a particular kind of life. They could have maybe gone and got a like quote unquote normal job, and they decided not to. So why I say that is because I think that I've always felt like I was given tools from the privilege that I grew up with to decide what I wanted to do, you know, and I made choices. And so I've never felt like I had in particular to do one thing or another, but I did want to follow certain questions. And those questions had to do with my body as a sexualized body. And so I did choose to go into sex work and gray area of sex work to see what that would feel like. It wasn't just, oh, this would be, as I think this kind of narrative came out in the 90s, like, oh, it's empowering to take off your clothes on stage, or that's how it got, I don't know, put in a soundbite or something. I think for me, it was a dialogue of what is it to be a queer body, what is it to explore my sexuality on stage, in public, and in with public visibility. Will it feel empowering? Will it feel good, or will I feel exploited? And that was a kind of a question that I was kind of interested in, which I think is why I started thinking, well, I want to do what I love. I have to earn money anyway. Like what I said earlier is, I hate earning money. I absolutely hate having to earn money in order to survive. Like every part of my, like, I hate that idea. So, but I do feel like I have to, because I know I have to pay my rent. Yeah. So when I get to that question, I go, well, I want to do something where when I'm doing that, at least I'm able to like think through questions that are interesting to me and put myself in places that are interesting and get some joy out of it, hopefully, whatever that is. So especially when I moved to Berlin, that's kind of where I really started to explore that question more explicitly through physical performance, and also because I don't want to leave out the fact that like I saw all of these amazing performers before me, and people who were like empowered sex workers like Scarlett Harlot and Annie Sprinkle and all of these amazing sex workers and porn performers and performance artists and Kimbra Fowler and Karen Finley and like da-da-da-da. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I see myself in this, hopefully somewhere in this feminist queer performance, because I know that being a feminist for me is not about putting away my body or it having to look any one way or having to do any one thing with my body. And it's definitely about exploring sexuality. How can I do that on stage? And then when I started doing that, it was like, you know, right away you understand that you're being looked at, you're being analyzed, you're being spoken about even within earshot. You know, you have also like people that come to you. And I was working in a peep show one time, and most of the people that I was working with, you know, the thing is like, I don't know all of their backstory, but some of them had been working there for really a lot longer than I had. And that I felt like, maybe, I could be wrong, but I felt in some ways I had a bit more choice. Like I felt like they were locked in this career a bit more than I was, which is this thing that leads to this question. I'll finally get to it. It's like this thing around imposter syndrome, where you feel like when you are able to go into something that maybe you are never doing it quite enough, you never like, am I really doing this because I have a choice to be here, because I'm exploring this as a question, because I come from some privilege in order to choose or not. Like, I think there's a sense of imposter syndrome. And that was something that made me think a lot about, like, what does it mean to perform something, like, with authenticity, or to perform something really as, like, I'm just pretending to be this thing. And I thought a lot about that, because on the one hand, the reason I was there was because I was broke and I needed the money, and this was a way that I could earn the money, and I been living as a precarious person. But on the other hand, I was aware that, well, if I really wanted to change everything and I really wanted to completely get out of this situation, I could probably move back to the United States, create a much more stable life for myself, get an office job, and do something that's more straight and narrow, and I'd be okay. I've made a choice to be here, so am I an imposter for being here? And I went one day into this like panopticon thing that you dance in the peep show, and this guy was one of the clients was just like, "You shouldn't be here. You're an artist," and it was like. He was again like making this distinction between, I guess, what it means to be like a worker, like a sex worker, or an artist, a performer, or somebody who maybe doesn't quite belong. And it was weird for me. I felt like kind of called out or like almost ashamed, not because I thought I shouldn't be there, but because somehow he was like trying to distinguish me between me and the other people that he saw. And it was interesting for me that like it brought up this question again. It's like who actually belongs, and like how are we constantly distinguishing people all the time along class lines? I think a lot along class lines. And yes, of course, they're also racialized and sexualized, but there's a lot of like distinguishing of people along class lines, you know, like, and I think, it comes up all the time, like, in the punk scene, like, who's really a punk? Who's just pretending? Who's performing that? And I think this is something maybe to challenge. Like, what does that mean? And of course, like, we would look down on people that are just playing punk, or like someone who's playing an artist who's just another gentrifier of Berlin. But like, well, who really is who? I don't know if I'm able to complete this thought in a way that actually makes sense, but I think that there's a lot of these lines that actually get quite obscured, especially in a city like Berlin, when many of us are misfits and we came here for different reasons. Our class backgrounds get erased to some degree. We are precarious. That's a real thing. We're working alongside each other, but some of the privilege that we come with, or that we could return to potentially, or that we'll have in legacy or inheritance, those things get really covered up. And I think, I wonder a little bit about like how to bring visibility to that. What can we do with that? How can we harness privilege in a way that actually could, be put towards actually care and something good instead of like, putting it away. Oh God, I want to know, maybe it was Scarlett Harlot. She was like, once you stop trying to be the good girl, the world will never look the same. Like, whether you actually are what you say you are, whatever that means, or you're doing it, or you're being it, when you're physically in solidarity, the world won't ever look the same. So that is to say, like, yes, there is difference between where we come from. But on the other hand, when we are actually all sweating together in a backstage and we're all getting paid 100 euros or 50 euros for what we're doing, it doesn't completely erase class lines. And I'm not saying that. And yet there is something that we all are actually really experiencing in that moment. We are having how the crowd reads us because they don't know. We have what it's like to be with each other in that like close commons with other queer bodies, and how it feels to be a sexualized body. It's like, on the one hand, we're all experiencing the same thing, and yet we all experience it differently on our own bodies, because how our bodies are read on stage is very, very different, each one of us. And there's what we do with that money when we go home. So it's like, it's unifying, and it's also uniquely different, multiply different. You're listening to Sweat, Sexuality, Work, Extraction, Art, Theatrics. And this is Spat Back At Ya, a piece for Berlin late-night zine SPAT Mag by Berlin icon Bleach, interviewing me, Mad Kate.
Your recent album.
Yes, my recent album.
Your brand new album coming out November the
6th.
November the 6th.
Yes.
Coming out physically at Neues Zukunft.
Yes, on vinyl.
On vinyl. Touches on these themes.
Yes.
Through your writings, so I guess it's a bit of your life's work, the sort of yeah.
It is!
Sex work of the bedroom. What's the album called?
It's called Stage and Bedroom.
Stage and Bedroom. And
Yes.
I got to listen to it, and there's this amazing piece where you're sort of talking about different scenarios that you show your cunt. Is that the setup?
Exactly, like different kinds of sex work, or where I was being asked to speak about sex work in an academic setting. I was in this porn that got showed in Berghain, but like because it was sponsored by Diesel, like I think I got paid for being in the porn maybe initially like 100 euros, and then I've never gotten really money since then, and I definitely didn't get money for it being shown in Berghain. And I think Diesel, you know, they kind of probably exploit. I don't know. There's money somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's not like with the porn performers, obviously. It's not with the directors of the porn. Or then there's like a human rights film festival, and they're like, let's have a sex work angle, and like, let's invite in sex workers. And then you bring them in, hey, let's do a touch exercise. And people are like, oh my God, we don't, like, what do you mean you're asking us to touch each other? This is so like weird, and we don't do that in art contexts, or like we don't do that in our jobs, or, you know, or crazy experiences I've had where I've been like tied up and a domina has like peed on my head, and I had people taking photos of me because apparently phones are allowed, and there's probably like videos of it somewhere in the universe, and like I've never seen those videos, and I got paid like, I don't know, $200, and that's just like, labor is so crazy. And it's so interesting when having worked for over 20 years in different performance spaces, a lot of the difference that I find is that like is really how I'm read and how seriously I'm taken depending on which context. So like if you do a strip show, or you have like something coming out of your pussy, or you stick your thumb up your asshole in an art gallery, this could really be billed as something, you know, very artistic, and it can be wrapped with a kind of bow and given a title around care and whatever, you know, like, or like decolonizing the whatever. And we know that that is kind of a performative thing that art institutions are engaging with. That like the whole idea of art is engaging with this gentrifying something that is actually just work. Art is always gentrifying something that is really just work. So when you do sex work in a sex work space, you get read very differently, and it's very taboo. But the thing is, the people that are actually there because they're clients and are engaging with you because they want to pay for sex work, for me, it's so much more humanizing. It's actually like a lot, I enjoy it more, because actually none of us are supposed to be there. Like there's such a taboo to be at a peep show at all. So the kinds of conversations that we can have are the kind of like, hey, this is actually my kink, when they take you into the little like private booth. The conversations there are so much more interesting than when you're doing something like that in a gallery space. And yeah, you're getting paid way more, but like what you're doing physically with your body is the exact same thing, you know? And you're not even always getting paid more. Like sometimes you are. Like maybe you do it in the how, and they maybe pay you the standard for the arts fee, which is what, like $300 now. So maybe you're taking home more money than you would be if you did it all day in a peep show. But the labor is maybe more or less the same, like what's actually physically happening on your body. Okay, maybe the conditions are slightly different. Maybe you get a backstage that's nicer. Maybe not. Like, that difference in context is so fascinating to me. It always has been. And like how people read you, what they think they know about you, what they think they know why you're there, how you got there, you know, how you quote unquote ended up there, or how you got there, because it's like the Biennale. Yeah, sorry, I got so off track, but this is the album. Yeah. That's what the album is about. That's what the album is about. That's what that song is about.
That
because
song
it's like
is great, because you really just lay it out and name the press and literally just describe each situation.
Yes, like exactly.
And it's rocking. It's a rocking song.
I've never really been paid that much for any of those things that I'm speaking about, and yet like I would say like the difference between being paid nothing or like being paid very little, like here's a pass to the film festival versus being paid $200. There's still a lot in between that. Like there's a lot of money in between that, and we're just talking pennies when we're speaking of the economy. You know, you have people making six figures. And most of us, like us people, artists, sex workers, precarious workers, we're often fighting about like trying to get wages that are still only earning us like under $25,000 a year. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And yet, like, we're so privileged relative to so many people in the world as well.
I mean, the world angle is a whole nother. The proportion of. How did we get this far?
Oh my
Like
God,
the 1%. It's
sorry.
not even the 1% anymore. They like keep getting smaller. They're like this rich billionaires class.
I know.
How? It's amazing to see your words energized by punk music. You are a mental screaming performer. You've got such a powerful voice, and it's nice to hear it in that context. It's your third album, correct?
Yes.
What's your relationship to punk? I mean, we talked about sort of late night club culture,
right?
How do you feel that punk relates to that? How is punk in a late night context? Because a gig might end earlier, but then the drinks might last longer. It's not traditionally that queer. Have you found queerness in punk? I mean, you are queerness in punk, but how's your relationship to punk?
Yeah, so my first band was Kamikaze Queens, and in that band, I think that I started to realize that punk was kind of like, if I could describe my gender, I think it has something to do with what it is to do punk, because punk is so, like, don't give a shit what your body looks like, and it's so sweaty. And I also saw a lot of, like, muscles in my gender. Like, if I'm to try to name my gender, I wouldn't say, oh, it's masculine or it's not binary, but it's like, it's very much to do with, for me, an energy that I would bring, that I want to bring. That when I realized what I could bring through that first band experience, I got very in love with the idea that I could bring, on the one hand, a person that is probably read female and maybe sexualized in a female way, at least, especially at that time, but that, like, there was a lot of gender bending that can happen in punk, because all the clothes come off, but not in a quote unquote like erotic, cute, like neat way. It comes in a really messy way. It's like Tunten drag, or just like, shirts off. Who cares what you're calling what's under your shirts, or like even, dicks and cunts out, and, everything in between and all mixed up. Like, nobody cares. It's not meant to be sexy in that way, although it is, of course. It also can be really erotic. But it's like, it's angry, it's raw. So that, for me, I fell in love with that. And that the idea of writing, then you can put it into lyrics, and people, I like that, song as a way to transport words into a way that people want to listen to. I think spoken word, as a writer, when I was first just writing and like bringing my writing out, it was like, people were like, oh, I'm not really into spoken word. And I get it. I get why. It's like the environment of a spoken word environment can be really just like boring, or there's the same kind of intonation that people use when they're doing spoken word.
Yeah.
But with punk or with any songs, you can deliver a message inside of a song. And I was always pretty fascinated with that, and like how people get the lyric in, and it can be really political. And I always liked how the punk I liked anyway, or the musicians I was inspired by, were political performers. So, I think getting that first taste in that band was amazing. But yes, I missed the queerness a lot. Like, I would play to a lot of straightish venues, and every time we actually got booked for something that was queer, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Where are the other people? Like, where and how can I do this more? And it's not that they don't exist. I just think they're a little bit harder to find.
I mean, there's less the numbers.
Right?
It's
Right?
just a numbers game, really.
And I mean, especially in Germany, you know, I mean, maybe in Berlin, and maybe it's inside of these other scenes. And obviously, like, the bumholes are bringing it in, and punks and queens, and,
I mean,
you know, and the bricks.
The bricks.
The new, you know.
Who's
so
supporting you on the...
And the ratas.
The ratas. There's a
Like,
janitor. Rosa's in it. It's Rosa's band.
Amazing.
I think we're about to experience a really exciting wave.
Yeah.
Which is... It's interesting because we're all brand new. All those people you just named are completely brand new, not recorded anything. You recorded 3 albums. So then you become the legacy act. You become the grandmother of sexualized queer punk.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you want that quote. the great. I don't want to. I just mothered you.
You can daddy me though.
Yeah, which is exciting. How does it feel to release a record now?
It feels great. I'm really glad to tell all these stories because, I do tell a lot of stories about work. I tell a lot of stories about what it's like to be a performer in all the different spaces and places and all the different, like, weirdo places I've put my body and all the, you know, fields I've done my makeup in, and
it's
all the different things.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, stories I've been wanting to tell, and I wrote. It's been a while. I mean, some are written like they happened yesterday, but they were quite a while ago.
Yeah,
and that's
I mean, how long has it been in the works?
It's like a long time.
It's a chunk.
It's a long time because the first album we wrote when my father died, and there was a lot around that. That was in 2000. Well, he died in 2009, but we got together in 2011 and we wrote our first album then. And then I was just talking to my bandmates about this. Then I had a kid in 2013. And so really, like, that whole trip of parenting till they're 12 now has, I mean, it's a tale as old as time, but, like, parenting and being an artist is really, really hard to do. And I had a ton of help because I have 2 co-parents. But still, trying to do that was just next to impossible, really, really difficult. So it took us a long time, basically, 10 years.
And the Tide is a person, is a guitarist.
Yes, and he's also a parent.
Really?
Yes, so yeah.
With similar age.
He's
Paramount.
No, now his son is 16, and he was saying to me literally last night, he was like, I don't really have a kid anymore. Like, I can't really talk about having responsibility. I still have responsibility, but he's like...
And how's that relationship to have... how's the musical relationship? Do you come with your lyrics and then it just explodes in the room? Or how's your practice come together?
I tend to write in essay form. Like, I tend to, I'll write, like, a big chunk of prose because I can be really verbose, as you can tell. So I'll come into the thing and be like, hey, I've written about this. And then he'll be like, oh, this is interesting. Like, Lick is his amazing guitarist, trained by Robert Fripp, Guitarcraft, which is... it's a whole other way of approaching the guitar, and I wouldn't be able to describe it to you because I don't know how to play the guitar at all. It's not my domain. And he'll come and have something, and then I would start to sing over it. And then very early on, we were like, we should have a percussionist / drummer, but it was more or less a duo. And then we asked Sarah Neidorf to start, like, doing some percussive things, and they were kind of with us here and there. And then later they started playing gigs, and on this new album, that's, like, really the big change, is that they play on every song with us. And they started being more integral in terms of composing as well. So Jaakko might have a new riff, but then Sarah has an idea for the rhythm. And they're both very well-trained musicians, which is also something I laugh about, because they'll often be like, why can't you sing this note? And then I'll harmonize like this. Or, like, Sarah's like, It's actually, the bar is 15 and it should be on the 7 and then the 8. And like, I come from punk, so I'm like, what the fuck? And dance, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. Like, I have rhythm, but not this kind of jazz rhythm.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Yeah, so it's funny. It's cute.
You did your photos with Javier.
Yeah,
Your cover
that was
shoot.
so fun.
How do you like to project your image out into the world?
I wanted to do something with muscles, so maybe that one of those images worked. I hope so, which has to do with that whole, my gender is muscles.
Yeah. That's a great gender.
Yeah. I want to be like a 50-year-old bodybuilder. That's my dream.
Yeah.
Slash the oldest stripper in the world. I want to be 50 is too young. No, like 80-year-old fucking full of muscles stripper. That's, goals.
Rockin'. I can't wait to see that image. Maybe one last late night anecdote. Like, imagine a little side bubble. I used to jump on top of bars.
Oh my God. I did, and I only fell off one once. And you know what? That's punk rock. Like, yes, I used to wait by bars, get paid. Like, the boss wouldn't have enough money to pay me, so he would only let me jump up sometimes. But I was so broke that I was willing to sit at the bar and drink my whiskey and just wait to have a chance to dance. Also because there was sometimes that one client that was actually going to tip me, because most people wouldn't even tip. It was like the bar would pay me to just be the entertainment. And one time, I think in my whole career, I actually fell off the bar. In all of my career of like dancing on very thin spaces, it did happen, but I got right back up.
Right back onto the bar.
Right back up, yes. Yes. Never broken a bone.
Good.
But, I think like...
Ever, or just in...
Ever.
Wow.
Well, I don't...
That's, That's amazing.
And I think I've been very stunt-alicious in
you are incredibly stunt-alicious. The way you hit the trees on stage this time, it was like a wind-up. I'm just going to name it because it's going to be an interesting interlude to our next magazine. You're involved in Sissy Smart.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
And I guess can you give us a sneaky peek what you're going to bring, what you're excited by?
Ooh. I mean, this one is like really honoring some of our inspirations. So I'm going to talk about what seeing an enormous cunt on a huge screen did for me and how it changed my life. Yeah.
Kisses and goodbye.
You just heard from me, Mad Kate, interviewed by the drag legend, punk star, promoter, host, performer, and visionary, Bleach, for the second issue of Spat Mag, a late-night zine printed in Berlin. This was my positionality episode, which I'm calling Spat Back At Ya. And be rest assured that Bleach will soon be featured on this podcast, Sweat, and you'll get to hear much more from her in the near future. This song is called Stick to Your Sleeve, and it's on the new album by Mad Kate the Tide. I'm Mad Kate, and you've been listening to Sweat, Sexuality, Work, Extraction, Art, Theatrics. Sweat is a series of conversations about performance and performativity of the sexual and sexualized body and work. The theme music was composed by me and features the voice of performer and actress Lori Baldwin. Sweat airs first every second Tuesday of the month at 13 hours Central European Time on Collaboradio. Free Radio's Berlin Brandenburg, broadcasting on 88.4 FM in Berlin, 90.7 FM in Potsdam, and streaming online at fr-bb.org. Afterwards, it's available for streaming wherever you get your podcasts. Sweat is a labor of love. The best way you can support the show is by donating a few euros regularly to my Patreon page. It costs just 10 euros a month for me to host my RSS feed and about 30 hours of my time to put this show together. I would be very happy for your support to keep the show running. Thanks so much. Until next time.